Scouts, fellow Scouters, honors guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Troop Committee of Scouts BSA Troop 1557, it is my great pleasure to call this Eagle Court of Honor to order. Will everyone please stand? Color Guard, please present the colors.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Dave Jones, Committee Chair for Troops 557 and 1557, will now give the invocation.
Please be reverent. Dear gracious God, as we gather today to celebrate Laura's achievement of Eagle Scout, we give thanks for her family, her fellow Scouts, and her Scout leaders who have shaped her into the leader she has become. Under their guidance, she has learned more about who she is, developed an interest in conserving and protecting the world's resources, and been enthusiastic about helping others. We ask that you continue to direct her life so that her actions and dealings with others make the world a better place in which to work and play. In your name we pray. Amen.
Today is a very special day in all our lives. For Laura, it is a special day because in just a few moments she will join a very select group of few young people ever achieve. Receiving the Eagle rank is one of the few events in life that truly only happens once. It's a very special day for Laura's family, who has supported her in her Eagle quest and can take pride in her earning this award. It's also a special day for our troop and for First Lutheran Church. Troop 557 has a long tradition of Eagle Scouts, and we are proud to continue that tradition with the young ladies of Troop 1557 as we conduct this Eagle Court of Honor. And for each of you, it is a special day as you have come here to celebrate Laura's accomplishment. On behalf of the Scouts and leaders of Scouts BSA Troop 1557, I welcome all of you who have come to participate in this Court of Honor. If I could at this time, I'd like to have all the Eagle Scouts in attendance please stand. And if you would, starting up here and working our way across, would you please introduce yourself to the crowd?
Taylor Day, Chase Jones, Rob Smith, Scott Litt, Kevin Jordan, Sam Local, Frank Watford, Matthew Etienne, David Gould, James Clark,
You may be seated. I'd like to introduce Laura's family. Mr. Elton Duro, Scoutmaster, Troop 557, Mrs. Karen Duro, and Eduardo Duro, Eagle Scout of Troop 557. I'd like to also introduce our honored dignitaries and our guests. Mr. Kevin Trojan, Hoosier Trails Council Program Director, and Mr. Scott Middick, Muscatatuck District Executive. There are few achievements in life that require the vision and fortitude to be completed by a certain age. Achieving the rank of Eagle Scout is one of them. Neither education nor hard work can earn this honor once a young person reaches the age of 18. By the power vested in me by the National Council and the Hoosier Trails Council of the Boy Scouts of America, I officially convene this court of honor for the sole purpose of awarding the Eagle Scout rank to Laura Duro. Now we are proud to present our Eagle candidate, who will be guided by our escorts to the base of the Eagle Trail.
I speak to you as an Eagle Scout. I have earned my Eagle badge. Now, back to the time when you first became a Scout.
The first thing that we learned as new members of our troop was the oath by which Scouts do their best to live. Although we easily learned to repeat the words, we soon found that to live by the meaning presented us with a real challenge. To be a good citizen, to do the right thing, not for fear of punishment, but because we felt the obligation to live up to the best of within ourselves. To keep our minds and bodies healthy. In all these things, we have tried to do our best. So have you. And this is why you stand here today.
On my honor, I will do my best.
Let us look at the phrase Scout's honor. When a Scout stands before her fellow Scouts and pledges, "On my honor, I will do my best," she should not take the words lightly. That phrase should help her focus upon her personal integrity so that her earnest desire to do her best is strengthened and reinforced.
As Tenderfoot Scouts, we said to ourselves, "These are my rules. I believe in them and accept them." You became a Scout on the Eagle Trail, taking a bearing on our future and moving towards honor.
To do my duty to God and my country.
And your duty to your country? There's an old Chinese saying that each generation builds a road for the next. The road has been well built for you. It is incumbent upon you to build the road even better for the next generation. We hope you will never be called upon to die for your country, but you will be expected, and America has every right to expect, that you will live for it.
By the time you became a second-class Scout, you began to develop an increasing awareness of the meaning of this part of the Scout Oath. You began to learn the importance of good citizenship and its privileges, and more importantly, its responsibilities. The time you spent hiking and camping with the troop made you more appreciative of the beautiful world God created for all of us. You began to see that doing your best to live as God and our country expected you to live not only made you a better person, but helped your fellow Scouts.
To obey the Scout law.
Many times since you became a Scout, you have repeated the 12 points of the Scout law. When you were inducted as the newest member of the troop, you found these points impressive. Later, as you advanced in Scouting, you probably repeated them at various ceremonies without always giving thought to the implications behind the words. Now, as you relive with us your progress in Scouting and in personal maturity, we would like you to hear them again. Please listen as the Eagle Scouts who are with us today repeat the Scout law. Will all Eagle Scouts please rise and repeat the Scout law? A Scout is trustworthy, loyal,
As a first-class scout, you tried to demonstrate the points of the Scout Law by the way you lived. You gained some understanding of these 12 goals of personal conduct and found that as you moved up the Eagle Trail, living up to these goals became increasingly demanding and rewarding. Just as all scouts are challenged, so were you.
I am Owlette Sakima, the mighty chief. I am here today to honor Laura Durham on the completion of Eagle Rank. After completing first class and proving yourself to become a worthy camper, you have become eligible for membership in the Order of the Arrow. Your fellow scouts have deemed you worthy of Scouting's National Honor Society, and after completing your ordeal, you have sealed your membership within the Order. You have proven yourself a worthy airman. In order to earn the wings of Eagle, you must pass through many moons in your troop and live out the principle of scouting in our everyday life. Never forget the principles of the Order of the Arrow as you continue on your journey through life. The eagle is strong and powerful. She flies unblinkingly into the face of the sun. She soars high and builds her nest on the pinnacle. Today, I welcome you into the Brotherhood of Eagles.
To help other people at all times.
This should remind you of the Scout slogan, "Do a good turn daily." If we do something regularly, it becomes a habit. That is the aim of this part of the Scout Oath. Doing personal good turns and community service is an important part of Scouting.
To become a Star Scout and earn the next rank, the heart of the badge of life, you are required to do community service work. Sometimes you worked under the leadership of an older scout whose immediate goal was Eagle rank, but you also planned and carried out projects of your own. You became increasingly aware of the value of the work you were doing and the personal satisfaction to be gained from making that work succeed.
As you served our community and assisted fellow scouts, you also discovered something else: the importance of the example you were setting to those who watched you, who would later be more likely to accept such responsibilities in their turn because of your attitude and actions. As every Eagle Scout before you did his or her best to set the example, so you did.
To keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight.
When a scout makes a pledge to keep herself physically strong, she's not thinking of bulging muscles. She's speaking of physical fitness in its most complete sense. Fitness to be able to enjoy life at the fullest. Fitness so that she can fulfill her finest possible role in life with confidence in her own abilities.
The phrase "to keep myself mentally awake" sets a goal of mental health and vitality, initiative, and keenness of mind, an expanding concept that grows as a girl matures. The mentally awake person finds many pathways to growth. She thinks the people who stimulate her are curious, alert, and creative. She uses all the available resources to help her understand the world in which she lives and to which she hopes to contribute her share.
To keep morally straight means to keep clean in mind and body, whether you are alone or in a crowd. Many times you will be alone, and the decision for right or wrong will rest solely with you. It may test your honor and your strength. Such battles may be the most gallant of your life, for in them you will win without praise and lose without blame.
In many ways, you found this part of the Scout Oath to be the most challenging of all. As a life scout in the leadership roles which you were appointed or elected, You found that more was expected of you than ever before. It was now assumed that as a troop leader, you would accept responsibilities and see them through, and that you should set an example of physical, mental, and moral fitness to your fellow scouts. You did your best to meet that challenge.
Have you done and been all that you could have? Only you can answer that question. But because you stand here tonight, we know that you have tried. On my honor, I will do my best.
You have nearly completed your journey, and there is one final thought we would like to share with you. The word leadership does not appear in the Scout Oath, but it is implied in every phrase. Give thought now to your responsibility as a leader. A leader is a person who is going somewhere, but not alone. She takes others with her as she goes. Where will you lead those that follow you? We challenge you to take pride in what you have learned so that through your leadership, as you move with purpose towards your goals, the principles of the Scout Oath become a living thing for those who follow.
Laura, join in spirit with the thousands of young men and now young women who have attained the goal you have now achieved. Pledge yourself once again to citizenship and service by repeating the Scout Oath.
On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty, to guide my country, and to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight.
Those around you, your Scoutmaster parents and friends, have watched your character mature, your mind develop, and your leadership abilities expand into a valuable asset. This is a proud moment for you, but remember that the badge you are about to receive is not only yours, but ours. For what you do in the future reflects not only upon yourself, but also upon your fellow Eagle Scouts. You have walked the Eagle Trail with honor, and we welcome you.
Mom, the voice on the other end of the phone said, "We're taking girls." It was my son, Bob. He was very excited and he knew I would be too. We often witness history, usually sitting on the couch in front of the television. But it's very seldom that we make history, and today we are. And it's been a wild ride getting here. Scouts BSA Troop 1557 was chartered in 2019, shortly after the BSA allowed girls to join. Laura is a founding member. Her primary reason for joining was to work on the waterfront at Maumee Scout Reservation with her brother Eduardo. Her mother Karen was the handicraft director, and her brother Alberto was too young to be on staff, but he hung out all summer at Maumee. Really terrible thing to have to do, right? I'll let Laura tell her story later, but when she decided she wanted to be an Eagle Scout, there was no stopping her. We did her Scoutmaster conference in the Health Lodge at summer camp. She didn't have to tell me that while she was at camp and all the other camp staffers were enjoying free time, that she was working on rank advancements and merit badges. That became apparent when she came home with 18 merit badges and almost all of the requirements for second and first class. And she finished those two requirements early in September of 2019. It was not quite at the end of 2019 when all 4 units of 557 found out that we were no longer going to be able to be chartered by the organization that had chartered us for almost 29 years. We found First Lutheran Church here, and we're very grateful that they have agreed to charter us. Shortly before we were to make the move here, the pandemic shut us down. Laura was instrumental in making Zoom meetings happen for both troops. When summer camp became virtual, she served on camp staff again. She found online merit badges for herself and the other scouts in the troop. She deserves a lot of credit for helping scouts to advance. We weren't sure that Laura was going to be able to be part of the first class, the inaugural class of Eagle Scouts, female Eagle Scouts. But when we found out that she would, we only had 5 days between the time she was eligible for her board of review and the cutoff date. Now, as most of you know, if you know me, when something like this needs to happen, I'll find a way. I had plenty of help. Dave Jones here got a phone call from me on a Saturday afternoon. I said, Laura's sitting in my living room doing her Scoutmaster conference for Eagle, and she needs your signature on her paperwork. He was at my house within 15 minutes. Holly Barton, who's the customer service specialist for Hoosier Trails Council, and Julie Hadley, who's the district advancement or district Eagle coordinator, both expedited your paperwork and made your board of review happen. So on February 6, 2021, you became part of that first class of female Eagle Scouts, the inaugural class. Rob Smith, who's been instrumental in working with the Ace of Spades Patrol, now has some thoughts.
Yeah, I said be afraid, be very afraid. First off, congratulations and welcome to the rank of Eagle Scout. As an Eagle Scout, when Scouts PSA first announced that we were going to let women into the program, I'll be honest, I had to take a step back and think a little bit and process what that meant. And as an Eagle Scout, I thought to myself, is this going to change how special that award is? And a couple of things happened on my journey to sort of process all that. First off, I think I can vividly remember the committee meeting, and most people will, that Miss Virginia stood up and gave this impassioned speech about what it would have meant to her if she had this opportunity as a child, right? And that really stuck with me. And then when Virginia asked me to sort of work as an assistant scoutmaster with the Ace of Spades Patrol, and I got a chance to work with you and the rest of the patrol, and it was just really amazing. Just to see, the passion that you guys put into it, the maturity that you guys had, the care. The one thing that really stood out to me, Laura, was, you were on this really tight timeline. I mean, you had no space in there. And yet many meetings, you were sitting there working with some of the younger scouts, trying to figure out how to get them up to the next rank. And so for me, personally, it's, I think I answered the question, in that I think the Eagle Scout Award is much more valuable and much more special today because of you and the other women that are going to follow you. So welcome. It's been my honor.
Over the years, I've been privileged to present the Eagle Badge to at least 15 young men. And I can't tell you how pleased and proud I am to give this Eagle Scout badge to your mother to pin on your uniform.
Laura, here's a pin for your mother that you can pin on her lapel representing your Eagle Scout.
That's her collection. Yes. Thank you for the next one.
Here's a pin for your dad.
Laura, as a U.S. Navy veteran and a member of the American Legion, and on behalf of the American Legion, I'd like to present you with a certificate of recognition, Laura L. Duro, for outstanding achievement and exceptional leadership ability, as evidenced by attaining the rank of Eagle. You're very welcome.
This is your Eagle Scout certificate and your membership card in the National Eagle Scout Association. And I think your paperwork's on the back too, in there. If you want to put those up there, you can leave them there. I've always closed these Eagle presentations in the very same way. What you've learned in scouting will serve you well for the rest of your life. This is not an end, but a beginning. The hard part about receiving this award is not in earning it, but in living up to it. You'll always be welcome in the 557 family. I never want to hear you say I used to be a scout, because you are and always will be a very special Eagle Scout. Congratulations.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Eduardo Duro, Troop 557 Eagle Scout, and Laura's brother, who will give the charge and challenge.
Scouts of all nations constitute one of the most wholesome and significant influences in the world's history. You have been declared worthy of the high rank of Eagle Scout and Scouts BSA. All who know you rejoice in your achievement. Your position, as you well know, is one of honor and responsibility. As an Eagle Scout, you're expected to exemplify your daily life, the high principles and the values expressed in the Scout Oath and law. You have assumed a solemn obligation to do your duty to God, to your country, to your fellow Scouts, and to all human beings. This is a great undertaking, which you are now just beginning. As you live up to your obligations, you bring honor to yourself and to your brother and sister Scouts. As an Eagle Scout, you will be a champion to the other Scouts. Be an example to your community. Remember, your actions will be more conspicuous. People will expect more of you. It is your responsibility to help maintain the high regard that all Americans have for Eagle Scouts. To falter would bring discredit, not only to you, but to your fellow Eagles. Keep your ideals high and your honor bright. Your responsibilities, however, go beyond your fellow Scouts. They extend to your country and to your God. America has many good things to give you and to give your children after you, but these good things depend, for the most part, on the quality of her citizens. Our country has had a great past. You can help make the future even greater. I challenge you to undertake your citizenship with solemn dedication. Be a leader, but lead only towards the best. Lift up every task you do and every office you hold with a high level of service to God and to your fellow human beings. Live and serve so that those who know you will be inspired to the greatest ideals of life. I challenge you to be among those who dedicate their hearts and hands to the common good. Build America on the solid foundations of clean living, honest work, unselfish citizenship, and reverence to God. Then whatever others may do, you will live behind a record of which you will be justly proud. Thank you.
Our speaker today has been a leader all his life. He has worked with young people both professionally and as a volunteer. He works at Columbus North High School for the iGrad program managed by the Ivy Tech Columbus campus. He has been the boys basketball coach at Parkside Elementary School for 15 years. As a scouter, he is a member of the committee of both Troops 557 and 1557 and a merit badge counselor. He also holds the distinction of being the first Eagle Scout after Troop 557 was rechartered in 1991. Please welcome Mr. Bob Boats.
When British Lieutenant General Robert Baden-Powell took a group of boys to Brownsea Island to test the ideas from his Adapted Aids of Scouting manual, he took upper-class children of wealth as well as working-class families' children to test those ideas, to test the ideas of young men working together as a team in the Edwardian era. It created a movement, a worldwide movement that was rooted in the idea that a family's class should not deny their sons the accessibility to success. That a boy who hails from a tenement in London's East End or a luxury flat in Knightsbridge can wear the same uniform, engage in the same activities, and attain the highest rank in scouting. Who they were didn't matter. What they could do does. For generations before, the pathways to success were often predetermined by a family's class or status. That a social order demanded that people function in a system that did not promote basic equality or meritocracy. To not subscribe to the basis of both John Locke and Thomas Jefferson. All men, all people were created equal. The idea that serves as the foundation for democracy, the foundation that scouting was founded upon. When the scouting movement came to the United States, women still did not have a constitutionally defined and protected right to vote. As time progressed through the 20th century and into the 21st century, the opportunities available and rights afforded to women have consistently and constantly expanded. In 1969, men made up 58% of college students. Today, 56% of college students are women. Since 1964, more women have voted than men. The world has changed. Although there are alternative organizations dedicated to bring scouting to girls, programs like Venturing and Exploring for many years have allowed older girls to participate, and women are allowed to serve in adult leadership positions. Substantive participation in the Boy Scouts, as most people know it, remains strictly a male activity. All the while, in families throughout this nation, when a son packed his backpack for a weekend camping trip, built a Pinewood Derby car to race against fellow scouts, or worked towards rank advancement, a daughter, when she said, "I want to do this too," was told she was not allowed. That she cannot participate or attempt to achieve what her brother could, while our world was demonstrating that denying those opportunities on the basis of gender was no longer acceptable. In my family, to doubt a girl's ability to achieve in scouting alongside boys was not only impermissible, it is inconceivable. My greatest guide on my scouting journey, my most effective teacher, my most ardent and passionate champion in scouting is sitting in this room today behind me as a Scoutmaster Troop 1557. She happens to be my mother, who has dedicated her life to helping countless boys and girls, as well as men and women. on their scouting journeys. As some youth, some as adults, through training them to be more effective role models and being a consistent resource to a movement she values and cherishes. She gives freely to an organization that gives her the opportunity as an adult to do what she wanted to do as a young girl in Seymour in the 1960s, to do what the boys did. And she's still doing it 60 years later. She, along with many other women who serve as leaders in this organization, have proven that gender does not matter in living to the ideals of scouting. Now, they can proudly belong to an organization that will never again say to a daughter, "No, you can't." One that makes scouting a choice, not a birthright. Today, as we celebrate Laura Duro, and she receives the highest award for a youth in scouting, we celebrate her while acknowledging the struggle it took to get to this day. We can celebrate the evolution from she can't to she can to she did. No path to an eagle is without significant difficulty. No path to an eagle is without sacrifice and dedication. No path to an eagle is easy. It's not designed to be. It's meant to test a person with a fixed age deadline that is unmovable. It was designed to be fair to all, but in the transition to opening traditional scouting to girls, this deadline demonstrated that something being equally applied could be seen in substance as being also unfair. Yet, Laura and the other young women who are being awarded Eagle Scouts in this first group had to do so in less time than the vast majority of their male counterparts. I had a full 6 years to get to Eagle. And it should be noted, I took that one right down to the wire. Many of us did. She did it in 2. And if that wasn't enough, it goes without saying how the events of the past year placed further barriers in her path. She did it anyway while still being very active in her school and her community. As Laura is here today, the first female Eagle Scout in Bartholomew County, her resourcefulness, determination, and dedication brushed aside the extraordinary circumstances that stood in her way. The fact that we're here today celebrating this moment with her proves why we should always look to expand opportunities for young people to achieve and to be their best, because they won't disappoint us. When we make scouting more open to more people, it allows this movement to live up to its mission and charge. How can we, on one hand, seriously suggest that we wish to embrace the ideals of democracy while closing off participation in half of our population? How can we embrace the idea that a person can rise to the utmost level of their ability while not allowing all youth to answer that charge? When we say we value tradition, do we value an organization that merely tries to be what it was? Or do we strive to be part of a movement that prepares young people for the world as it is and as it will be? Robert Baden-Powell, upon his death, left us a message for posterity. His final parting words of wisdom and advice: try and leave this world a little better than you found it. Today, because of the trail Laura and other young women all over the United States are blazing by attaining the rank of Eagle in this year, they are challenging all of us to continue to live up to that charge, to ask of ourselves, how can we continue to use the scouting movement to increase opportunities for more young people to grow, to learn, and to achieve to the highest level of their ability? How can we celebrate what young people can do by removing outdated and outmoded constructs of who deserved opportunity? How we can continue to work together to make the world more open, more just, and more fair. Congratulations, Laura.
At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Elton Duro, Scoutmaster of Troop 557, and Laura's father for his remarks.
It's like, have you ever been told you cannot do something and you done that anyways? I'm not saying that you did that as a disobedience kind of protest, but you did that because
you want to insist, you want to persevere, you want to try again. Fellow Scouters and guests, Laura just doesn't happen to be my daughter, but she's been an inspiration for a lot of people, and not just women, but a lot of people there, and sometime in their life were told they cannot do something, and they kept trying, and kept insisting. 2 years ago, 2 years and a little bit ago, when Scouts said women can join, there was a symbolical event where Laura said, yes, I can join. Oh, I can be recognized for things that she's been doing for a lot of years. As a sister of another 2 Scouts, or Cub Scouts by that time, she was already doing a lot of scouting things. She was already camping. She was already carrying water, or maybe cleaning dirty dishes in a camp out. She was just not the one using the uniform or up front or getting merit badges or getting patches. So when the opportunity came, there was somewhat of kind of recognition, not just for her, but for everybody that's watching what's happening with his scouting in the United States. The other thing I could watch happening to her is, have you heard that we are the average of the people we most hang out with? And Laura was very fortunate of hanging out with very strong people, very strong personality, people with very strong leadership. And I happened to be Virginia and Mr. Robert Smith when they started with her as a scoutmaster and assistant scoutmaster. Those definitely were 2 of the most strong leadership I could see influencing, making, molding her own personality on those years. So I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to see what happened to her, and happy to see how Scouts work for the youth. Congratulations, Laura. Congratulations, not because you're my daughter, but to everything that I could see happening to you, not only in the last 2 years, but since you start camping and helping with the Scouts. Congratulations.
At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Troop 1557's first Eagle Scout, Laura Duro. Wherever you want to do. Okay.
If you ask a scout why they joined Scouts, they'll probably say it's because their parents signed them up. But if you ask me, I was actually tricked into joining. 2 years ago, my older brother Eduardo convinced me to work at summer camp. And to work at summer camp, I had to get registered with the Scouts. So I went ahead and got registered. And before I knew it, not only was I an official Scout, but I had my full uniform and a Scout book. So one day I sat and I was flipping through my Scout book, and he said, "Hey, you should try to earn Scout rank. It's really easy. You already know all the stuff." So I went ahead and attended one of the meetings, and I got as many requirements as I could signed off. But I didn't quite finish, so I came back and finished up. When I told him I got Scout rank, he said, "Well, that was pretty fast. Now try to get tenderfoot." Well, this pattern continued. And not only did I get tenderfoot, but I also got second class, and first class, and star, and life. And not to point out the obvious, but I also got Eagle. It wasn't all easy. I did face some challenges, and I had to push myself out of my comfort zone. For example, I got hired to work at summer camp. And after I got hired, I found out I'd be teaching scouts how to sail, canoe, kayak, tie knots, life saving, and I didn't know how to do any of that myself. Looking back at the past 2 years, I've realized that scouting has allowed me to grow. I've learned important life skills, challenged myself physically and mentally, and created some fantastic, outrageous, and all-around groovy friendships. I've also realized that I wouldn't be standing here today without everyone who has supported me, not only in scouting, but outside of scouting too. I'd like to thank my family for encouraging me to push myself and helping me with challenges along the way. I'd like to thank the adult leaders in my troop for planning the campouts, service activities, and providing a safe environment for youth to learn from their mistakes. I'd like to thank my patrol, the Ace of Spades, for creating a sense of belonging and by being by my side during my time with the troop. I'd like to thank each and every one of you who came out here today to celebrate with me, and for everyone who helped make this ceremony happen. So thank you. Before I finish, I'd like to take a moment to award a few pins to some people who I can't thank enough. So if Eduardo Duro could please come up. I never thought I'd say this, but thank you for tricking me into joining Scouts. As an Eagle Scout himself, he knew that there would be many challenges ahead of me, so he made sure not to tell me about them. As an older brother, he has been my lifelong best friend and always knows what advice I need to hear. Could Mr. Smith please come up? Rob Smith. One of the biggest obstacles for a scout is finding an adult leader to get requirements signed off. Mr. Smith was the first one who signed off my very first requirements for scout rank. He helped me learn the basics of scouting before I headed off into summer camp. And throughout my experience in scouting, he has always checked up on my advancement and helped complete my Eagle project. Could Elton Duro please come up? I know you're recording, but you can bring the camera up too if you want. My dad has been one of the biggest supporters in my life. There were a few times in scouting where I thought I wouldn't make it to Eagle, but he just gave me a crazy look and told me to keep going. He has provided my brothers and I with the resources, support, and advice that we need to succeed in everything we do in life. And last but not least, Miss Virginia Motes, my Scoutmaster, could you please come up? As a lifelong scouter, Virginia has always been able to answer my questions or guide me to someone who could. She has played a major role in my scouting achievements by providing me with opportunities, holding me to high standards, and making sure I didn't give up on becoming an Eagle Scout. Sometimes I felt that she believed in me more than I believed in myself, and I couldn't thank you enough for that. Thank you. So that's all for me. So once again, thank you all for coming out today. I really appreciate it, and I'll hand this back to Mr. Hatchett.
Mr. Dave Jones, please come up, and if he would give the benediction.
Please be reverent. We now call upon the Great Spirit of all for his blessings on this new Eagle Scout. May she always strive to attain the noblest and highest ideals of life. Be her strength and her guide. Cause her to follow a straight trail and to never be a reason for other scouts to waver from their paths. Protect her from many moons to come. And now may the great master of all scouts be with us until we meet again, and may we follow the trail that leads to him.
Please join us for a reception honoring Laura in the Fellowship Hall after. Will all scouts and scouters please join me in forming a scouting circle and singing Scout Vespers and Taps.